Our next company is AstraNav. I'd like to introduce Mr. Anton Toutov of AstraNav. He is a CEO. AstraNav is a private company based in San Diego, California. It harnesses the power of the Earth's magnetic field for localization and navigation. The company applies proprietary machine learning algorithms and sensor fusion techniques to deliver unprecedented capabilities and unlock extraordinary value across industries. We're honored to have Anton today. Anton's got a great story. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Anton, welcome. I got you virtually. Hopefully you can hear me as well.
Absolutely, loud and clear. Thank you so much.
Yes, and it's been great to connect with you, Anton, and learn your story. I'd like you to share it with our audience today. Maybe you could just tell us the origins behind AstraNav.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, thank you so much again to you and the other organizers, everyone here. I really appreciate it. We're very glad to be here. I'm here, of course, virtually, but we do have our director of programs, Michael Cook, there on site with you in the audience. So please, everyone who's interested, go and speak with him, learn from him, chat with him, challenge him, discuss with him. He's an excellent AstraNav representative, and he definitely knows the aerospace industry very well based on his background in defense as well. So please do. Okay, well, origin story. Thank you for that question. So I would say about over 10 years ago or so, a small group of us anticipated and got together and said that GPS, while an extraordinary capability, would probably begin to have some inherent limitations in an increasingly complex, interconnected digital world. I think everybody can tell that world is very much here and now. And we're seeing this play out on a daily basis all around the world, GPS limitations. So hotspots, combat environments, hot zones, etc. We're seeing GPS denial as being one of the main problematic features of the electromagnetic combat layer. We see it every single day in these hotspots. But also even in GPS unavailable environments in peacetime all over the world. Think indoor environments, multi-story buildings, underground, underwater, urban canyons. So, a few of us, this group, primarily from the aerospace industry, but a couple other experts, got together, coming from the navigation focus especially, got together and decided to try and develop a software-based solution for geolocation that would be set for the modern world. It took about 6.5, 7 years or so to build and develop, but ultimately we succeeded, and AstraNav was born from that and brought forward as a company in order to commercialize, both in the commercial sector and the defense sector and governments all around the world, this new geolocation software capability.
That's a great overview, Anton. Maybe you could sort of, I gave an intro about what MGPS is, but again, I realize it's very complex. Maybe you could give it in your layman's terms of magnetic GPS, sort of how it works, and where maybe a little more technically speaking, where you came up with this technology. I mean, it's a brilliant idea, but I just want to see where how you actually came up with it.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. Yeah, so MGPS, it actually refers to AstraNav's proprietary geolocation software product. MGPS software works by running on devices and vehicles to provide them with location information independent of GPS, but in a way that looks to the user or the machine exactly like GPS. The way that we do this is by converting the Earth's magnetic field into 3D navigational information. This is what the software algorithms do. They process data from magnetic field sensors that are already present in billions of devices and vehicles. Sometimes internally at the company, we say from smartphones to submarines. All of these assets already have the necessary sensors and hardware for this technology to actually operate, which is why we are a software company. It's the software that really provides the capability. And so we leverage onboard COTS sensors. You don't need to actually create new hardware. And because there's no new hardware, it's relatively straightforward to actually scale and integrate this compared to, say, a hardware heavy approach, which is predominantly the efforts that are focused on for geolocation. And so because we have this capability that's software defined, and because it uses the Earth's magnetic field, I know, which sounds a little bit unusual, but uses the Earth's magnetic field as the source of location data, the technology actually works in all domains and in all weather. So land, sea, air, all weather conditions, underground, underwater, all the areas of GPS challenge that I mentioned previously, this technology succeeds in addressing geolocation in those environments. And I know you asked previously about what some of the inspiration was for actually developing this. So of course, we had a really smart group of folks doing navigation for multiple decades, coming up with solutions in the navigation space. But part of the inspiration was actually something that you find in nature well before we ever came up with it. And that is the idea of magnetic field navigation by animals. So that is a concept called magnetoreception. It's a fascinating piece of biomimetic, you could call it technology in the natural world. And the way that it works is that migratory animals and others, numerous of them in land, sea, and air, are able to actually essentially see the magnetic field and use it as a source of navigational guidance when they perform these extraordinary thousands of mile treks across these various domains, including in feature poor environments or even in featureless environments like open ocean. Somehow they're able to actually find their way, and the magnetic field guidance that and the magnetic field lines that they can see actually provide them the ability to do that. So that was major inspiration. We adopted some lessons from there, turned it into technology, and now we're advancing it and productizing it.
Yeah, that's so brilliant. How maybe you get off script, but how on your phone, what is the onboard sensor there that actually you're using for your software to get the data from?
That's a great question. And it's a great question, especially because most people don't even know that this sensor exists. Sometimes it's even referred to as a vestigial sensor. So the sensor itself is called a magnetic field sensor or a magnetometer. If you pull up the app, the Compass app on your phone, it's the magnetometer that's essentially providing that capability. It's a bulk sensor with very broad supply chain advantages. It's been around for a long time, but it's never been used in a way quite like we are using it.
Yeah, brilliant. So brilliant. Um, you know, y- there are a lot of geolocation companies out there, and we've talked about this a lot in our past discussions, and a lot of alternative navigation approaches. What makes your business unique and effective? And maybe you could touch on a few of the larger ones and how you compare and compete with them.
Of course. Yeah. So this is obviously a very important area. Geolocation, navigation, location intelligence touches everything from combat in all of its senses to basically every aspect of commerce. And so a very important field, particularly now with the GPS limitations, needing a complement is something that a lot of people have been addressing and trying to solve. Most approaches rely on new hardware, which has a lot of merit. So building, say, quantum sensors that are better at sensing, the Earth, or new visual navigation techniques that use cameras and computer vision. Those are some common ones. And typically, of course, requiring radio frequency signals of some sort, which is like how satellites operate. So better GPS, for example, or Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or 5G. All of these approaches, they definitely have a lot of merit. They're used. Many of them are deployed, obviously. We've heard about a lot of them. We use a lot of them in our daily lives. But all of them have one core similarity, which is some piece of hardware generates the signal. And usually it's a radio frequency based signal, some sort of waves or signal bouncing between device and source. And so ours, of course, very, very much different than that. Ours is a non-radio frequency based technique because it measures the Earth's magnetic field and its various components around you and a device in real time, all the time. And as a result, it is non-emitting. And of course, there's no new hardware to be generated because all the sensors already exist in the devices that need the location information.
Yeah, yeah. So it's wrapped up so well. I love it. Um, What about where is AstraNav deploying MGPS currently? I know we've talked about companies and people proving it out. Is it being used commercially right now? And maybe talk about any partnerships or growth strategies.
Sure. Yeah. So we are um, pretty excited about where the company is going and the inflection point which it finds itself. Um, we are a commercial B2B and B2G software company. It is a commercial piece of software. However, obviously, as I alluded to a couple of times, and the folks in this room, of course, appreciate very well, technologies like this have a lot of application in the government and the DoD. And so we are deploying and commercializing both through government in a variety of ways, but as well as in the commercial world quite extensively and through a number of verticals and use cases. So just to give you a few of them in the interest of time, major healthcare, like nationwide healthcare deployments being planned right now, airlines, warehouses, tech companies themselves need this kind of technology, and numerous land, sea, and air applications across the DoD, including, of course, one that's always on everybody's mind, I think, which is aerial efforts, both crewed and uncrewed, as well as scalable low-cost drones. You need a scalable solution for those, and a new piece of hardware is often difficult to be able to justify.
You know, there's a lot of potential here, and I just want to see in your view, maybe through your eyes, what would success mean for the company, and what do you think the next 5 years will bring?
That's a good question, a difficult one also to answer conclusively, but I think that there's a lot of excitement ahead. And I would say that I won't get into the details, of course, but I would say that our pipeline and IP estate and everything else very much reflect the fact that we have been very quietly for over a decade now pioneering software-based geolocation intelligence. I mean, that is our company, that is what we do. And I think the future should see ubiquity. I think MGPS being a simple, basic, you can look at it almost high level as a software update to solve a hardware heavy problem should be in every device. There's no reason why it shouldn't. And we have tried to gear our business structure in a way that allows ubiquity to happen as quickly as possible. Of course, we're leveraging the fact that this is software in order to do so. So we're integrating into native apps and native systems. You can think about onboard navigation systems with platforms like drones and underwater assets, but also smartphone apps, the ones you are so familiar with using every single day. Those should have location intelligence powered by MGPS, and we are, in fact, driving and aiming and planning to do exactly that, and we're, I think, well on our way. So it should be an exciting road.
Yeah, I'll open it up to the audience. It's so intriguing. Anyone from the audience? If not, I've got a lot more. I know we don't have much time. You know, uh, Again, I know this is early days, even though you've been doing this for 10 years. But as far as business and economics of AstraNav, how do you describe its current business model, and how has that evolved over the past few years?
Yeah, good question. And so the company technically was only incorporated in 2020, and we've been building product and perfecting product from there. The early tech was definitely done at risk from at least 2013, if so. So that's been the general story. Now we're really in the process of deploying. And the way that we're doing so is really as a core mechanism through licensing. This is a perfect opportunity for a licensing operation. We have the core technology. It integrates into existing familiar systems. That is a great way for us to maintain substantial margins, right? Software-based margins in a hardware type world. That's attractive. And to be able to scale and deploy quickly, that is I think, the right way to do so. And we've been seeing a lot of tailwinds in that regard in terms of our deployments.
Yeah. What about, again, I know you're software based, but could you talk about the unit level economics of your products and services, and where will these, and I know you talked about dual use, where will you be seeing the highest margins, potentially in the future?
I think some of this remains to be seen, of course, given that we are broaching both the commercial and the government space. The unit economics, I think, have favorability on both ends, but they have their uniqueness too. I mean, often you'll see DoD and Gov type contracts being quite a bit lumpier than the classic ARR type commercial agreements that we are now deploying into. But I think both have valuable unit economics for us, as well as more bulk metrics, like just top line revenue as well is going to be helped and offset between commercial and government, because when one is up, the other one is often down, and you have, I think, the benefit of having both broaching right in the middle of the two. So think things are looking quite good for us on that end, but the commercial side is really only picking up now because we finally have our commercial product in place and we're now starting to deploy.
Yeah. Anton, I wish we had more time. There's so much to talk about, and I sense I'm going to be seeing some interesting things coming out of AstraNav, and wish you your best success. And I'm hoping to get you back here in person and maybe be a public company by then next year. So congratulations, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Would love to be there next year in person. Much appreciated. Thanks, everyone.
Investors should carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the ETF before investing. The prospectus, which contains more complete information about this and other matters, should be read carefully before investing. To obtain a prospectus, please call 800-GABELLI or visit www.gabelli.com. Risks to the ETF include a downturn in commercial air travel, production and/or supply chain disruptions, decreases in defense spending, subcontractor financial health, and competition and/or technology changes.